In 2025, the Pokemon Company cranked the dial to max hype on some of these chase cards. We're talking 4-figure Umbreons, gold ultra rares that were basically lottery wins, and a Victini card so hyped that they printed the same artwork in 2 different sets. Today, we're counting down the 10 most expensive Pokemon cards released in 2025. Alright, before we jump in, a couple of quick ground rules so nobody fights me down in the comments. We're only looking at cards from sets that were released in 2025. So that means everything you see today is coming from Prismatic Evolutions, Journey Together, Destined Rivals, Black Bolt, White Flare, Mega Evolutions, and Phantasmal Flames. And yes, that means some fan favorite sets don't put a single card on this list. Prices are based on TCG player market price from the day I built my spreadsheet, so naturally they're gonna move from time to time. Cool? Let's start the countdown at a tie with number 10. First up, sharing the number 10 spot, we've got Sylveon EX Special Illustration Rare from Prismatic Evolutions. Sitting at about $320, Prismatic Evolutions was basically the Eevee love letter set we all wished for. Eevee and every evolution got a big SIR that showed off their personality, and this Sylveon was one of the main sparkly chase cards from the set. Pulling this card, or honestly any SIR in Prismatic Evolutions, was extremely difficult. The set had one of the most notoriously rough pull rates, and it was nearly impossible to find on shelves at MSRP. So if you did manage to pull this card, you basically won the cardboard lottery. Tied with Sylveon by less than $1 is Mega Gardevoir EX from Mega Evolution. The Gold Mega Hyper Rare also around $320. This was one of 2 full gold megas illustrated by 5-band graphics with that 3D energy burst style that they're known for. The pull rate on these gold megas was ridiculous, roughly 1 in 1,000 plus packs kinda hit. So if you see this in someone's binder, you're looking at a card that most players could open packs for years and never hit once. Number 9 is our first stop in Unova. We've got Reshiram EX from White Flare at around $370. White Flare was the Reshiram half of the Black Bolt and White Flare duo, and it introduced these black and white rares, super high contrast cards that called back to the original Reshiram and Zekrom era. This Reshiram though is almost pure white with just enough color to pop, which fits the White Flare name perfectly. It was one of the headline chase cards of the set, and the art leans hard into that mythical glowing Reshiram vibe. It looks like it stepped right out of the original black and white era and stepped into the modern card design. Staying in White Flare, number 8 is Victini, also a black and white rare at about $420. Here's the funny part, this exact Victini artwork appeared in both White Flare and Black Bolt. Same art, 2 different set numbers. And because of the intense red palette, the Pokemon community has lovingly nicknamed it Red Victini. Collectors love weird little quirks like that. A double printed chase card that lived in both sides of a twin set that was about as quirky as it can get. Between that and the striking art, this Victini ended up being one of the most expensive cards across both sets and one of the cards people loved arguing about in price threads. Alright, we're leaving Unova and heading into the new Mega era. Number 7 is Mega Lucario EX from Mega Evolution. Another gold Mega Hyper Rare around $430. Mega Evolution was the first in the new Mega era, and the Mega EX cards were absolute monsters. Lucario is already a fan favorite, and this version is a hyper rare gold nuke by 5-band cards. Combine Lucario's popularity with that ultra low pull rate, and it shot up to mid 400s pretty much out of the gate. Number 6 is Zekrom EX from Black Bolt, another black and white rare sitting around $437. Black Bolt and White Flare were a paired release that split the Unova theme. Black Bolt was Zekrom's set, and White Flare was Reshiram's. Zekrom's black and white rare was the main chase for Black Bolt. All black, super dramatic, and it was the official face of the expansion and a lot of set reviews. Set design, exclusive rarity, and a really striking monochrome design, that's a pretty easy recipe for a top tier chase. If you've ever cracked Black Bolt, this is the card you're hoping to see. Alright, before we jump into the top 5, quick pause. If you're into these kind of big chase card breakdowns, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I've got more set breakdowns and price deep dives on the way, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. Okay, let's get into the top 5, starting with a very controversial little fire type. Right above it at number 5 is the Black Bolt version of that same Victini artwork. So again, Red Victini, but this time in Black Bolt at around $450. Same art as the white flare print, but different numbering. And just like we talked about earlier, coverage of these sets almost always put Victini right alongside Zekrom and Reshiram as one of the top hits across both products. If you were cracking Black Bolt, this was absolutely one of the cards you were hoping to see in that black and white rare slot. And depending on who you ask, it either deserves every dollar of that price tag, or it's wildly overhyped. Number 4 is where things start to get really wild. Mega Charizard X EX from Phantasmal Flames, the gold mega hyper rare at around $450. This was the full gold Charizard that was all over social media. Full Rates estimates that these gold megas were at about 1 in 1,200 packs, depending on what you were opening, which is frankly ridiculous. This is the kind of card where you don't even need to see the box or what's going on social media to know that it's the chase. You see the gold, you see the dragon, you see the Zard, and your brain goes, yep, that's the one. Graded 10s have already hit the multi-$1,000 mark on eBay, so this card is basically the definition of a modern Grail Charizard. Coming in at number 3 is Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX from Destined Rivals, a special illustration rare at around $456. Destined Rivals leaned heavily into the Team Rocket theme, their personnel, and their Pokemon. This card absolutely nailed that vibe. Giovanni in the foreground and Mewtwo looming behind him. Super dramatic, edgy composition. The art is by Iwamoto05, and it's the perfect blend of nostalgia, Giovanni plus Mewtwo, with the modern SIR treatment. It feels less like a card and more like a still frame from the Team Rocket movie we never got. It's no surprise this ended up being one of the top priced cards of the year. In the runner-up spot, we're jumping back into Phantasmal Flames with another Mega Charizard X EX. This time, it's the special illustration rare at around $607. This one is illustrated by Dan Chow, and it shows the entire Charizard line. Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, and Mega Charizard X, all flowing across the card. If the gold Charizard at number 4 is the flex piece, this SIR is the art piece. A lot of chase card lists put this at number 1 across the entire set, even above the gold Charizard, just because the artwork was that good. Many collectors consider this to be the quintessential Charizard card. SIRs in this set were not easy pulls either, roughly around 1 in 400 pack range, so supply was pretty thin. Between the art, the rarity, and the Charizard tax, it's completely sensical that this card was battling near the very top of the 2025 ladder. And at number 1, the current victor of 2025 is, to nobody's surprise, it's Umbreon EX from Prismatic Evolutions, a special illustration rare with a market price at about $1,070. This card was illustrated by Yashiro Nanako, and the community has pretty much nicknamed it Umbreon, even though everybody keeps arguing whether it's a sun or a moon in the background. eBay sold listings though have PSA 10s comfortably over $3,000, and there are plenty of stories of people ripping through hundreds of packs before finally hitting one. Umbreon already had a huge chase history from cards like Evolving Skies, the Moonbreon. So when you give it another insanely strong SIR, you get exactly this. The most expensive card released in 2025, at least for now. So that's where the 10 most expensive Pokemon cards from 2025 ended up, for now at least. I want to hear from you on this. Which of these cards do you actually have in your collection? And more importantly, what card didn't show up on this list that you think should be worth more than it is right now? Or flip it, which card on this list is totally overhyped in your opinion? Drop it in the comments down below and tell me why. And if you want to see how this year stacks up, go check out my video from last year, the most expensive Pokemon cards released in 2024, and I'll have it linked on the screen or down below in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, and share it with a friend who keeps saying one more box, one more pack while hunting that Umbreon. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.